Hello, folks. Hope you're doing all right. Welcome to Stay Well with Dr. Zorba Pastor.
That's me.
It's true.
I like saying that every time. It's so goofy. But you need humor in this world.
do.
Otherwise, it's all dark.
You do. Yep. It's all darkness and cold. We don't want that. I'm Carl Christensen. I'm sitting across the desk from the one and only.
The only. Dr. Zorba Pastor.
You're the only, right? Are you the only one?
I'm the only one.
You're the only one. Yeah,
you are. I'm not virtual.
Nope.
I'm real.
You're not AI.
That's
You're
right.
real.
No,
time.
I'm not. Oh, gosh.
If you were, you wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't say that. Gosh and golly, I wouldn't say that, right?
All right, let's talk about our show today. We're going to talk about recent news. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, is now approving some new pesticides. We'll get into that.
Loosening the rules. We're going to talk about that.
Okay. Zorba will help out a caller. We'll tackle some listener questions, of course. And we're going to hear from my mom, who's, believe it or not, still cranking out some jokes. Still cranking out mom jokes. The phone number to call anytime if you have a question for the good doc, 608-492-9292.
Or email me at askdrzorba@gmail.com. I love answering those emails. Ask Dr. Zorba, spell it out, at gmail.com. And remember, we've got a website, drzorba.org.
That's right. Lots of good stuff there. Let's jump right in with our topic, Zorba. The EPA, they're going to relax their definition of what is quote-unquote toxic, which allows them to approve more pesticides. Tell us about this.
Well, first of all, this is kind of interesting because there was a whole movement that supported our present president, Make America Healthy Again, the MAHA movement, which originally rallied behind the Trump administration's promises to reduce toxic chemicals in our food and water. Okay. Now, pesticides are not always toxic, but pesticides have the potential to be toxic. And there have been a number of guardrails on pesticides because, if you serve your kid an apple, you'd like to make sure there's not a pesticide on that apple. Now, believe it or not, a lot of our produce have pesticides. We've learned that we want an apple that's beautiful and crisp and red, doesn't have anything in it. Well, those are due to the fact they're either type of gardening. They may be organic, but many of them are not organic. They're cheaper and they have pesticide residues. So the issue now has to do with PFAS. PFAS are these chemicals that are forever chemicals that we don't know much about, but we think are potentially harmful.
Yeah, we're hearing more and more about that.
More and more.
Yeah.
So they're potentially harmful. And my thought is, okay, they may be potentially harmful. Let's figure it out. But we may not figure that out for years because it takes a while for you to have something that causes cancer. Let me give you the perfect example. Tobacco. You start smoking at 20. You don't get cancer until maybe you're 40 or 50 or 60. You don't get lung disease until you're 40 or 50 or 60. And it's the same thing with a lot of things. So there's a big, long period between when the chemical may affect us to when we actually get the effect of the chemicals. So PFAS, we think, really have a higher risk of cancer, obesity, thyroid disease, cholesterol, decreased fertility, a whole bunch of things from these forever chemicals. So the Trump administration is doing everything it can, supposedly, not to fix our exposure to PFAS, but to continue our exposure to PFAS. And that's according to a guy, Jared Hayes, Senior Policy Analyst at the Environment Working Group, which works with the MAHA movement to try to reduce these chemicals in our environment. And during the Biden presidency, the EPA approved one new PFAS pesticides at all, and now we're getting more and more and more. And I really find this to be a major issue because if we don't identify the chemicals, then you, as the consumer, do not know if the chemicals are on the fresh fruits and vegetables that you should eat because the chemical may be there. And we also don't know whether or not heat destroys it. We know, for instance, that parasites and viruses and bacterium are destroyed by heating. We know that heating food actually is good for us. On the other hand, we know that fresh fruits and vegetables are good for us because when we heat, we destroy vitamins and we destroy some of the micronutrients. So you've got to have fresh. You can't just have heat on there. So this is dangerous. So how would I attack this? Well, first of all, if you're worried about PFAS, go to organic foods. Why? They're not supposed to have pesticides on them. And if they're certified organic, they don't. So you have a way of going around it. But if you don't have the money, because they cost more money, because pesticides make it cheaper to produce food, then you'll have to pick and choose what fresh fruits and vegetables you're going to eat.
Okay. Do you have a line where, like, are there certain produce you go organic and certain you just let it slide?
Well, I think, for instance, with an apple, you can wash it. Mm-hmm. I think if you take fruits and vegetables that are not organic, if you wash it, if you take lettuce and you put it in, a spinner, you wash it really good. You don't need anything special in the water. Do not use bleach. That's worthless and not good for you. You don't need soap. That's worthless. You just need copious amounts of water.
Okay.
So if you're going to get some sort of a lettuce, a leafy product, put it in water, soak it in water, move it around with your hands for like a minute or two, spin it out. If you're worried, do it again. Okay. You'll get what's on the surface. The whole idea is what's on the surface. With berries, I think with berries I'd go with organic, because if you take like raspberries and strawberries and other berries, you're going to really ruin the berry if you wash it.
Berries, in my mind, seem to absorb things better than like a skin of an apple.
So
or something.
I think, an apple is a harder crust. So if I think that through, I would have some things I would do more than others. And I'll put that on the website. I'll put on, over the next week or so, a list of my do's and don'ts, which things I would go organic with and which things I would say you don't have to go organic. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who are going to go with organic with everything. That's okay. It costs them more money. You've always got to think about money.
For sure.
Every time. Now, I'm an old guy. I have a 401k. Mm-hmm. I'm single at this point. I've saved for the future. It doesn't bother me to go to the grocery store and pay some more money for organic. But when I was young, starting out with 4 kids, come on. Mm-hmm. Grocery bill really made a difference. And where I shop, I always notice the grocery bill. And it always shocks me on how much more it is than I think it should be.
Yeah.
And that's because of inflation and because of the political things that are going on in the world. And a lot of that isn't just in gas and oil now. It's also with groceries. And so we all have to look at our grocery bill, especially if we have children at home. We want to protect them. So, yeah, I'd wash the apple. I'd do organic for the berries.
Okay. Good to know. If you have a question for the good doc, 608-492-9292. You can also email the show anytime. AskDrZorba@gmail.com.
And go to my website, drzorba.org, and I will have that list up pronto.
All right, let's go to the phones now. Let's try to help out a caller from Des Moines, Iowa. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Zorba.
How are you?
I have good. Yourself?
Very good, thanks. Very good.
I have a benign enlarged prostate. Mm-hmm. I took Tamsulosin until it made me too dizzy and then kind of stopped working. Uh-huh. And then I transitioned to finasteride. Uh-huh. It works okay, but it affects my libido.
Right. Let me go back for just a minute. So you took Tamsulosin. When was that? How long did you take it for? Was it the 10 milligram? That's the typical dosage.
I think I took 10 milligram, but then I ended up doubling it. I took it for about a year and a half.
And didn't seem to do that much?
Well, it got worse. At first it worked, and then I think my prostate got larger, and it didn't work quite as well.
Right. Prostate got larger, and you got older. At the same time. Yeah. Okay. So that is something called an alpha blocker, by the way. Around our prostate, we've got this membrane, and the membrane can be blocked. The membrane kind of squeezes the prostate, and it does a bunch of other things. But if you get rid of sort of the squeezing of the membrane, often during the night, you can sleep better. I mean, that's usually what it is. So when you're not on it, how many times were you getting up to go to
sleep? 3, 4, and then during the day, sudden urgency.
Sudden urgency during the day. Okay. So then you went to a different drug, which is actually a drug finasteride, which can shrink the prostate. How long have you been on that?
Oh, probably 6 months.
Okay, 6 months. It takes about 6 months to know whether or not that's going to do anything. Has that done anything at all?
Oh, it works. Yeah, it works fine.
Uh-huh. But it's affected your libido.
Right.
Right. Which is kind of one of the side effects, because what it does is it blocks some of the testosterone that you make. It blocks its use, and that's what it is. And that's one of the side effects is libido can be there. So first of all, the good news is once it actually works, you can go off of it. And you may continue to be that way, and you may have to go on it periodically. But once it actually works, you may not have to be on it. So that's number one. Number two, there are other drugs in the class, in the same class as tamsulosin, and uroxetrol is one of them. But if you go on the web and you search, just go on the web, go to Google and say drugs like tamsulosin, there are a variety of other medications that produce an alpha blocker. There's a blood pressure pill called Minipress, which also does it. And I would try some of the other ones because they're all a little bit different. So the first thing I would do is, number one, you may actually have affected your prostate and decreased it and stop the finasteride. See if it works. Number two, if it comes back, go through some of the other drugs that may work for this. And I would cycle through the other ones because you might get a better effect from the other drugs. They're all a little bit different. They're not exactly the same. And believe it or not, some, like uroxetrol, people have said that they have better orgasms and a more fulfilling erection when they take that drug versus tamsulosin. So some of them do have different effects on that. So I would try that if you find you're getting up again during the night.
Will those make me as dizzy? Tamsulosin made me pretty dizzy.
What I would do with the other drugs is I would start at the lowest possible dose. And the drug that's actually used for blood pressure, and I can't remember what that is, if that's Minipress or not. I don't have a computer in front of me. But I would go to the lowest dose of the other drugs, including the one that is an alpha blocker that's used for high blood pressure. And I'd start with the lowest dose because you might not get dizzy. When do you actually take it?
I take it at night, and I have modified my doses of finasteride. I've done it every other day, and then that started not working, and then I did half a pill, and that started not working.
Oh, I see. So as soon as you're off of it, you had side effects, right? But you have a side effect from being on it. Okay, so what I would do is I would message your doc and say, I want to try other alpha blockers. I'd like to have it in the lowest possible dose. If it comes in a pill form, I want the pill form. You don't want the capsule because you can then cut the pill in half or in quarters. And I would go one by one through the other alpha blockers and see what that does. And I would take it at nighttime. That's what I would do then. Because the finasteride, if it affects your libido, it affects your libido. Goes without saying. You want to keep your libido and not get up in the middle of the night. So I have a question for you. If you had to trade off something, Carl is beginning to smile. What do you think?
I know where this is going.
Think? Okay, go ahead.
No, I want you to do it.
No, go ahead.
Hey, you're the doctor.
I'm the doctor. I can tell from his smile what it is. If you've got to trade off libido versus getting up in the middle of the night, which is the greater need?
I got to tell you, it's the getting up in the middle of the night and the urgency, because it really affects, how you can sleep and what you can do during the day. And a few times I become dehydrated just because I wouldn't drink enough.
Right, because you wouldn't drink enough. So I think the answer is to go cycle through the other alpha blockers. That's what I would do. Because you want to get rid of the finasteride if you can. You know it works, but there may be an alpha blocker that is going to work for you to reduce it to once a night or twice a night. Do you take any other pills to sleep at night?
No.
So you may want to consider taking the there's an antidepressant that can also help sleep at night if sleep is the issue. But you also had urgency throughout the day, that also occurred. There are a number of drugs that you can also get from your doctor for urgency throughout the day. But when you're on the alpha blocker, that urgency goes away?
Yes.
Yeah, I would cycle through the other. If you were my patient in the office, I would say there are 4 or 5 different alpha blockers. Let's try each one and see, because they're all a little different. Let's see if something works without giving you side effects. That's what I would do.
So the urologist is really trying to encourage me to do aquablation. And I'm a little bit concerned about the incontinence from doing that. It seems kind of aggressive.
Well, there are different types. Of doing things to your prostate. But all of them have side effects. They have side effects of erectile dysfunction. That's one of the side effects of all of them. But there are a bunch of laser therapies and other therapies to do. Which one is he or she interested in doing?
He wants to do aquablation.
I would try all these things first before I would have something surgically. I would cycle through the meds before I had anything surgically. That's what I would do. And then if I had something surgically and I was concerned of one versus another, I would get a second opinion before I had somebody do it for me.
I appreciate the advice.
thanks for calling, and thanks for listening to the podcast. We try to give good information, especially when rubbish comes out of Washington. Thanks for your call.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you have a question for the good doc, you can call anytime at 608-492-9292.
Or write me at askdrzorba@gmail.com. Spell it out, Ask Dr. Zorba. It's easy to spell, at gmail.com.
Yeah, they can write you with a pen and paper, and then just,
that's
how does
right,
that?
That's right.
Is that an
That's
address,
right.
a physical
That's
address?
right.
No, that's an email. I think everybody knows that. All right, let's do one of those emails now. We get a lot of them. We love them. Keep them coming, listeners. This is from Dorothy, who writes, Dr. Zorba, on one of your podcasts, you spoke of gummies to help with sleep. I think she's talking about THC gummies.
Yes, for sure.
My husband, Paul, he's 80. He has a stent and also some stomach issues. He's seeing doctors routinely, so things are under control. Recently, we are going through some stressful times. We're downsizing our home, moving in a couple months. So he's having a really hard time with sleep.
Sure.
He gets to sleep, but then wakes up at 3 a.m. and cannot get back to sleep. Could you recommend a sleeping aid for him? He's feeling quite overstressed right now. And I think you spoke of THC gummies, which we could buy in Illinois, which is nearby, but I don't remember the dose you spoke about. Thank you so much.
Well, there are a number of things. So first of all, there are a number they can call their doctor. There are a number of medical things you can take. But if you want to go the THC route, then you want to start out with a small dose of THC. Now, there's not a lot of research on THC because the federal government, in its infinite stupidity, has kept it in the same class, although it's moving out of that class now, as heroin.
When is that going to happen, by the way? I've heard you mention this for years. It seems like this has been on the docket.
Ask the bureaucracy. Okay. Ask Dr. Bureaucracy.
Is he here?
I have no idea. How do you know it's a he? Maybe it's a she. I mean, let's not be sexist
or AI.
about the bureaucracy. Yeah, maybe. But it's going to happen sometime. I mean, how could they keep marijuana in the same class as LSD and heroin? I mean, really. I mean, it turns out OxyContin is at a lower class than marijuana.
Yeah, that's
how
nutty.
Dumb. But it's finally going to be changed. Anyway, until it's changed, you have a number of states that Illinois who have decided they're going to, recreational marijuana is possible. So I would do a THC gummy. I would do 2.5 milligrams. You can buy them in 10s. When I go there, I would say, look, I'm going to cut it in quarters, and they should be able to know which brand you can cut into quarters so the THC is within the entire gummy.
Right,
And you
evenly
can't assume
distributed, right?
that it's not evenly distributed, and they may know that. I would assume that they would do that. I would take their advice because they probably know that you're not the only one. And I would take that at bedtime and see if that works. For some people, that works well. I mean, I think THC can be a very useful drug for people for chronic pain and if they're trying to go to sleep. And because we haven't done research on it, doesn't mean you can do the research for yourself.
Okay, interesting. I know in the past, we've been doing this, podcast for a bit, but the show on the radio for years. I did that over a decade with you.
Yes.
And I remember you mentioning over the years, you would sometimes use audio to fall asleep. Like you'd listen to Plato or Socrates, right? Or am I making this up?
I would use things like Confucius because it would be boring. But recently I have been using a podcast called Calm History. And I really like it. So the reason why I like it is, first of all, I want to listen to a voice that's going to put me to sleep. I don't want to listen to my voice. I mean, my voice obviously I'm not going to listen to my voice, but I mean, I've got a voice that's kind of bouncy and going to keep you awake. And I like the guy's voice and his tenor, and where he's below a tenor, sort of between a tenor and a baritone. And then it's about history. So I start to listen to it. But he has such a calm voice that eventually I find myself that I'm sleeping instead of listening to it at all. And then it goes on for a while and it helps me sleep. I need something to go to sleep. That's what I've discovered. I'm too jacked up at night, and then I'm not anxious, but I think about things that don't put me to sleep. Yeah. So this particular podcast I like, and I've tried other podcasts. I've been listening to comedy shows.
Okay.
From the 1940s, but they kind of keep me awake.
That would keep you awake,
Yeah,
I feel
and then
like.
I was listening to detective shows
Okay.
from the 1940s, but they kind of keep me awake.
Yeah.
And then I went to Confucius, but it was so boring that I didn't really like it, and I didn't like the voice. So I've been listening to Calm History.
Calm
it's a
History,
podcast
okay.
I like. Calm History.
Calm History. I like how we'll put that on our show notes page too, so you can see a link to that. But that's good. Yeah. Do a lot of people use podcasts and audio to fall asleep? I know I use
I don't know.
white noise or
know.
wave sounds just to
Yeah,
calm my
yeah.
brain.
I don't listen. I don't like. I have listened to white noise, but I don't like it. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean,
It also is. I have tinnitus. So
no,
yeah,
I have tinnitus.
It helps with that a lot.
I have tinnitus, but the
Yeah.
white noise doesn't do it for me. I have to
Okay.
listen to something in the background. Those with tinnitus learn what's useful in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're trying to go to sleep, at least my tinnitus ramps up when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Me too.
It
It gets worse because then you start thinking about it, and then it just gets worse and worse.
Oh yeah, the more you think about
focus
it,
on
the louder it gets. It's
Yeah.
a weird thing. But Calm History takes me away from tinnitus and puts
Maybe I'll
me
try
to sleep.
it. I should try that. If you have a healthy living question for Zorba, you can post on our Facebook page. You can email askdrzorba@gmail.com, or you can
Go to
call
our
the show.
website.
Oh yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, drzorba.org. Just Coffee Cooperative is a worker-owned, fair trade, and organic coffee roasting cooperative in Madison, Wisconsin, dedicated to a model of commerce based on transparency, respect for labor, and environmental sustainability.
That's right, Zorba, and we both love their coffee, and we drink it all the time.
Absolutely.
One ingredient, no flavors, no additives, just coffee.
Use code ZORBA10 for 10% off your entire order on their website, www.justcoffee.coop. Just Coffee Cooperative, justice from the grounds up.
Okay, now it's the time in the show where my mom gets involved a little bit.
Ba-ba-da-da.
She pokes her head in just for a second, and
Ba-ba-da-da.
you want me to hit the button right away, don't you?
No, I like ba-ba-da. I like saying it. That makes me feel good.
Okay, so
Mom joke.
I'm not quite there yet. You know what's funny, listeners, is right now I'm struggling finding the cue for mom jokes, and it sounds like we're going to leave all this in.
Well, I like when you can't work your own device. That's always the best part of it.
Careful. All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Mom jokes.
Why did Frank Lloyd Wright have such slow internet in his home? Because he was using a mid-century modem.
Oh,
Mid-century modem. I like that one.
I like that.
Mom.
I like that. She is an educated person. She draws from a wide variety, and I know you thought at one point she was running out of it, but my guess is, because I know your brain came from her brain, that given the chance, she will run for it forever and ever and ever. She is finding her creative space within mom jokes.
She's still got it,
The
Zorba.
punster behind the mom.
Yeah, and she and she worked some Frank Lloyd Wright reference in there. That's kind of
It
nice.
was great. Oh,
I think
yeah.
a lot of our Wisconsin
There's
listeners will appreciate that.
Absolutely. You know, Frank Lloyd Wright, well, he was a peculiar person,
Complicated
genius.
individual.
There are many things we can say about him.
Another show,
You might
maybe.
not have wanted to have him as your best friend because he really didn't have a lot of best friends, but you would want to have him do your construction.
Sure, there it
Because he
is.
was a genius.
Okay, let's take another listener email here. This is from John in Tennessee, who writes, Dear Dr. Zorba, I had surgery about 6 weeks ago to remove a left brachial mass. Did I say brachial right?
Brachial.
Brachial. See, I didn't say it.
That's okay.
Did I say mass right?
Yes, you said
Okay, good.
mass. How else would you say mass?
I don't know.
Mass?
Moss?
Mass?
Yeah,
No,
moss.
it's mass.
Okay, left brachial mass.
English is so hard.
It is.
Could be mas and it could be mass.
Yeah. Well, moss would be Spanish, right?
It's not English, and it would be MAS. It would be spelled anyway.
Anyways.
you got to memorize those
sorry,
words.
John.
You can't sound them out with phonics. I have 2 young grandchildren. You know, I've got 7 young grandchildren. Phonics only works so much. And I was never good at spelling or pronouncing as a kid. So my mom taught me phonics. And
you were hooked.
I'm hooked on phonics. That actually was a book.
Yeah.
Hooked on phonics.
Flashcards too, right?
Yeah,
I remember
hooked on
that as a
phonics.
kid.
Yeah. You were hooked on phonics. Well, your parents were educators. So.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, both teachers.
They were hooked on you.
Yep. All right, back to this email from John. John
Do we
says,
have to do it?
should we just skip it and the show?
No, go to the email.
John says, the pathology report describes it as, quote, a benign spindle cell lesion consistent with nerve sheath myxoma? Mm-hmm. Okay. The incision and now scar is about 15 centimeters in length.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
that's pretty big.
That's a decent sized scar. John asks, is there a product or treatment you can recommend to help reduce the appearance of the scar? Our local pharmacies carry a few over-the-counter products. The Mederma brand has a gel and some creams with different active ingredients. Allantoin versus dimethicone.
Good.
Dimethicone?
Good. You're doing
I'm getting
well.
them all here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Scar OA brand has silicone sheets and gels. I could ask your good friend and trusted colleague, Dr. Google, but I thought I'd ask you first, Zorba. What do you think?
Well, a couple of things here. So first of all, scars are hard to get rid of. So the first thing I would try would be vitamin E. And you take vitamin E, you take their capsules, they're all liquid. It doesn't matter, probably 2,000 international units of vitamin E. And I would rub it on if you can do it 3 or 4 times a day. See what that would do. That's number one. The other things you would try and see if they work. And if not, talk to your doctor, because some scars, when you put intralesional corticosteroid, in other words, you inject a steroid into the scar, that can actually cause the scar to shrink. And then there are some other chemicals that also can go into the scar that can make a difference. Because some people over-scar. They have an over-scarring problem with they scar too much. And so sometimes an injection of a steroid or another anti-inflammatory can actually reduce that scar. So if the over-the-counter E or other things don't work, text your doc, or PA or NP.
Good advice. What's NP?
Nurse practitioner.
Oh, I should have known that. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's on the test.
Okay.
Now you know it.
When is the test?
Today, you just got the test.
That was it?
You got
right
2
now?
right, 1 wrong. That's not bad.
2. Okay, what does
MD,
that mean? What's my percentage? 66?
95.
Oh,
95%.
Some fuzzy math there.
Well, no. I asked
2 right, 1 wrong?
No, I had other things to it. It's only a part of the test. It's multiple choice. You got a lot of other things right, so you're still in the 95% range.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't sell yourself short.
No, you're really boosting me, Zorba. Have a healthy living question for the good doc. Just post on our Facebook page. Email the show, askdrzorba@gmail.com.
Or don't forget, you can call us anytime, 608-492-9292.
Okay, we got to end the show now. What did we learn? We learned a lot today.
We did.
We talked about pesticides and the EPA loosening their restrictions and the definition of toxic.
And basically what that means to you as a consumer.
Yep, you helped out a caller who had some prostate questions, and you helped out a listener with sleep issues. We had a mom joke, and we talked about surgical scars.
That's right. Yeah, we did that. That's
We just did all that.
We did all of that.
All of that.
And we do that every single week. Remember, we've got a great podcast. We've got lots of listeners. Join our community. You can do it. You can get it anywhere, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast. But you know that already because you're listening.
Yeah.
But tell your friends. Tell your friends. We're in
Right.
the upper 1% of all the podcasts, and we want to be in the upper 0.5% and 1/4%, because our goal is to give you good, rough-read information based on science, not on cult.
I like that. All right. So what should people do?
They should call us up, 608-492-9292. Go to our website, drzorba.org, and they should stay well.